Hi, everybody. Welcome to another fireside chat, another live stream here at One on One. It's a pleasure to have you. And today we are going to be speaking about what an LMS really is and why you need it in your organization. So it's a discussion where we want to involve you, our audience. So we want it to be as interactive as possible. And we're also going to be speaking with a fantastic guest who I'm going to introduce in a little bit. But I want to hear where you guys are tuning in from. So tell me if you're tuning in from Mandeville, Kingston, Trelawney, where in Jamaica are you tuning in from? Or if you're tuning in from overseas, let me know in the chat. I know we're streaming on YouTube, we're streaming on Twitter, we're streaming on LinkedIn. So let me know, people, where you're streaming in from. And what do you know about an LMS already? What do you know about a learning management system? So tell me in the comments below. And while you're doing that, I'm going to be introducing our guest for today, who is Mr. Andre Campbell. Andre is a budding instructional and learning designer who is currently working at Sandals Resorts International, and he has over a decade of experience in learning and development. He and I actually met as teachers a long time ago, so that's a funny backstory. But his focus now is on learning management systems and connecting employees with training opportunities through different modalities. So he's very experienced in the e-learning space, very experienced with learning management systems and how they can be used effectively in organizations. So I'm really excited to have him here. Thank you so much for being here, Andre. Love, love, love that you're here.
Thank you, Christine.
All right, Andre, where you streaming in from again? Which parish?
From Mobe.
Mobe.
Beautiful Mobe. I was going to say hot
She said
Mobe,
she-
but I'll do beautiful Mobe.
and I'm tuning in from cool Manchester, cool Mandeville. So, you don't have to grudge me over here, because I can't send
That's my
any
home
other
parish.
coolness over to you.
That's my home parish, so I won't grudge you at all.
All right. So it's great to have you, Andre. And remember, audience, let us know where you're streaming in from, which parish, which city in the parish, Kingston, Trelawney, Portland, wherever you're streaming in from. Tell us in the comments. So we're going to dive right into the discussion, Andre. And I want us to start by explaining to the audience what a learning management system really is. So what's the easiest way to define an LMS?
All right, so that's a given right off the bat. Probably like we Jamaicans love to say, in layman terms, learning management system. I'll always put forward that it's a tool. That's the first thing. It's a tool. Mostly, it's a web-based tool that persons use to plan, implement, and assess training. So that's the simplest definition I can tell the audience for learning management system. Yeah.
All right. So, and as you mentioned, it's an online platform that really does three core things. It allows you to plan. So, the three things again, Andre?
It allows you to plan,
Mm-hmm.
implement, and assess learning.
And
Yeah.
assess learning. Why is the assessment part so important with online learning?
Well, here's the thing, and let's take it back to probably prep school, primary school, or high school.
Mm-hmm.
Assessment is a key component of the of learn and development. So it's very
Mm-hmm.
important that you assess your learners just to ensure that whatever you put on the system, they actually understand and it's
Mm-hmm.
actually translated into the day-to-day functions or the operations of your business. So that's very important.
Yep, I completely agree. And moving along with that point, how does an LMS, with these three core things that an LMS does, how does it improve the entire employee training experience in organizations?
Okay, so very good question. So let's take a look at let me use myself for an example.
Mm-hmm.
I I'm driven. If I don't understand what I'm doing in terms of my growth, my development, I'm kind
Mm-hmm.
of lost and I'm not motivated to move up or to basically stay in a location or a
Mm-hmm.
particular job. What the
Mm-hmm.
LMS allows you to do is actually show your team members or your employees a sort of a growth path, and also what is available for them to learn or what you offer them in terms of upskilling and making themselves better as professionals.
And can a learning management system help with like a performance improvement plan, for example, or with an employee's journey throughout a company as well?
Yes, definitely. So from time to time, you may have employees who have, let me say, small issues or small
Mm-hmm.
opportunities for to grow. Right now,
Mm-hmm.
what you can do from I like to call it a PIP, that performance improvement plan. You
Mm-hmm.
can actually use a learning management system to tag courses to that individual. So let's say they have challenges with time management, probably using Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, those soft skills. You can
Mm-hmm.
actually link courses to those, and then you can actually also put in place dates, probably linking it to the next assessment period to see if the person actually completed the course. And also, you can attach even a on the job observation to see if the person's behavior has changed, and you can make notes, which you can also add to the next performance evaluation to see if learning actually took place or if there are any improvements. So that's very important. Good question.
Awesome. And with that said, I know that there are a lot of HR managers who will probably watch this, a lot of learning and development professionals, a lot of people who are managers within their own organizations, managing different teams, and even employees themselves who are part of teams who want to actually grow within organizations. So, with that said, given the audience that we're speaking to, what three tips would you give to all of these people to help them to use a learning management system effectively?
Okay. So right off the top of my head, the three most important things I can think of are
Mm-hmm.
one, whatever system you get, please ensure that you train the team members, the staff, the employees on exactly how you want them to use the system. Show
Mm-hmm.
them the features you want them to use. Show them exactly how to log in, how to access the courses, how to do assessments, all of that. What I realized in my experience is that if the team members don't understand the system, the
Mm-hmm.
features, and exactly how to utilize it, you lose them and you don't get any buy-in. So what you need from the jump is the buy-in of the staff, and that's
Yep.
training them exactly on how to use the system.
Yep.
Um,
Agreed.
the next thing you want to look at also is linking the LMS and the courses you do to some company KPI. So key
Okay.
performance indicators. So
Mm-hmm.
let's for argument's sake, you run a company and your main driver is customer service. What you want to do is ensure that if you have a particular course or program set up, you
Mm-hmm.
link it to your overall, to link it to that specific KPI. What happens there is that you see, if you link it to that KPI,
Mm-hmm.
you roll out training for 1,000 employees, and then you realize right after you finish that training, 2 to 3 months after, you see that there's an improvement in your customer service in terms of your scores
Mm-hmm.
or your rating. What you realize is that you've actually linked that course to the company KPI. And then what's important also, that is going to impact your ROI, your return on investment. So that's also
Definitely.
another milestone you would have hit when you link
Mm-hmm.
it to that KPI. And also, the third thing is
Mm-hmm.
to ensure that you make training relevant to your employees or your staff
Mm-hmm.
members. What happens
Agreed.
if it's not if it's something that is not relevant to me or something I don't see as being useful to my development, trust me, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to do it. What happens is that you need to make your system uh, make your system personalized so
Mm-hmm.
that when the team member jumps in, they also understand and appreciate that it's not necessarily about the company, it's about me. It's my growth, it's my development. So I'll be more invested to ensure that I do my courses because I see a path for me to advance and to basically improve and self actualize. Those are my,
Agreed. Those are your three tips.
yeah.
Awesome. But I love all of the points that you mentioned, and something that I think might be a big issue for some HR leaders and line managers in various roles might be actually documenting all of these things and clearly showing the linkage between the training program that you will set up, the LMS that you're using, and how it impacts the particular KPIs within the organization. You have any tips that can help with that documentation to make things clear across all three areas? I don't know if that
Okay.
question makes sense.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think you want to find out about metrics, correct?
Yeah.
All right, so awesome. So, in terms of metrics, every learning management system is going to be different. But if you find a really good one, you can actually have a very good impact in terms of reporting and how you basically position data to show your executives to ensure you get that we're actually making some progress or we're actually moving the
Right.
employees. So some key things you want to track. Number one is actually course completions. What you want is to ensure that if you invest in a system, there's actually usage in the system. And you need to show those persons who spend the money that the system is actually implemented properly and you're actually tracking usage. What's also nice in terms of tracking completions, you can track based on your department, your location, your position. So for argument's sake, let's say you want to see how a part you may have a company that's so big, you have multiple locations. You can actually track to see which are actually the ones driving certain initiatives and which ones you probably need to nudge. You can also go as far as your positions. Which team members or which positions are your troublemakers and which ones are your high performers. So those are some things you can track right off the bat. Those metrics are very important. A next one is also the average time spent on a course. That very good metric there. What you want to find out from your learners is is the material, is the content I'm presenting to you, is it boring? Are you engaged enough that you spend an hour? Or are you just
Right.
going to spend 2 minutes and then you just jump off? Because you've lost me from the introduction, from the objective. So I want nothing to
Wow.
do with this course. Yeah. So average time spent on a course is very important also. What you want to track to, and this may be tricky, it can be difficult. And I mentioned it earlier, you may also want to track your on-the-job performance of your team members. So very important.
Okay.
Times when you train not only to get someone to understand a skill or to perform, but you may also want to train to change a behavior or certain attitudes. So it's important if you can get a system that can actually track behavior change. Now, the best way to track that,
Interesting.
based on my experience, is to have the person who is the direct report or someone who is actually in the person's space to actually observe and report on the person's behavior, attitude, to actually see if after you spend all of that money to put the person through this training, if the person actually understood and has made some change in their behavior and is actually impacting the overall operations of your business.
So that's qualitative feedback. You would depend a lot on qualitative feedback for that
Yes,
particular metric. Okay.
yes,
All
yeah.
right. So are there
And
any other important metrics? Go ahead.
the other one you want to track is course feedback. So that's
Okay.
very important. So if you have a system that can provide you with some sort of rating for your course, so after the team member finish, they can actually rate your course. That would also be very good. What that helps you to do is basically pivot to and check to see if what you're actually putting onto the team makes sense and if it's actually making an impact on the overall team members' behavior, operations, that sort of thing. Because if the
Okay.
course is crap, pardon how blunt I am, team members sometimes
What
are going to
is?
know that it's crap, and you can basically reposition based on the rating you get. Yeah, you have different learning styles, all of that. So if you're not reaching a particular learning style, then you probably need to flip it and come back better. So just so you have the impact, the desired impact you want for those team members.
Okay. Okay. So you mentioned four key metrics. So those are the most important metrics to track.
Yeah.
Okay, got you. So, audience, I want to hear from you. Have you ever used a learning management system in your company? Just type a yes in the chat, and tell us what your experience has been like with a learning management system. And if you have any questions about how you can actually measure the effectiveness of your learning management system, feel free to leave them in the chat and let us know, because we want to hear from you. We're here to help you and we want to answer your questions. So, diving into the meat of the matter, Andre, while we're waiting for those questions to come in from the audience, a lot of HR leaders and even other managers know the value of a learning management system, all of those important things that you highlighted at the beginning of the conversation. But what often is a challenge is that it's difficult to get the budget that they need from the leadership team in order to purchase the LMS that they know they need to have. So how can these HR managers, these learning and development leaders actually get the budget that they need for an LMS? What tips would you give to help them to get that budget?
Okay, awesome. What I want to do now is sort of let me call it a mini lecture, so to speak. So what I did, I put together an acronym. So what I want to do is call it, let me call it Super Wednesday. So
So-
for the audience, you could write this down for me. It's SOOPPR. So
okay.
so we're going
Super.
on, yeah, I dubbed it Super. So we're having a Super Wednesday. So
Awesome.
let's take a quick look at what that what acronym basically translate to. So
Hmm.
for me, the budget is the most important thing. The budget is going to drive the quality system you get, and also that is
Hmm.
going to impact the experience of your learners. So
Hmm.
the bigger the budget, the bigger the impact you'll have. That I'll lead with that. So
Right.
get your desired budget. This is what you need to do. First, you need to identify a sponsor, right? Your
Okay.
sponsor, you have to be very strategic with who your sponsor is. Most times I would tell persons that get you need a sponsor who sits at the top in terms of the executive level, right?
Hmm.
So your sponsor should share your vision, and they should also be able to articulate what that vision is. So
Okay.
I need a LMS. My sponsor should know that I need a LMS, and they should also understand why I need a LMS. So when they
Hmm.
get to the top to speak to those other executives, they also can share your vision, because oftentimes when they are in those meetings, you may not be privy to those meetings, you may not be allowed in those meetings sometimes. So if they can
Hmm.
articulate your vision and your need for you, you're golden. So that's the S. Get yourself a sponsor. All right.
Hmm.
Next, you need to we're going to O now, you need to align with company objectives. So I touched on this briefly in the previous with some of the previous questions.
Right.
It's for when you are going about getting that learning management system, it's aligned with some company objective. So
Hmm.
let me explain that a little further for you. You need to show how the system is going to improve the overall operations of your business, of your company, and also how it relates to a particular KPI. So, what you can do that will make your argument very strong is
Hmm.
to highlight an area of opportunity that you
Hmm.
think the LMS is going to impact and is actually going to fix it. And also, what you can do is come up with an example that fits into a department. And
Okay.
oftentimes, what you want to do is use a department that is critical to the operations of a particular business, right? So
All right.
if you're in banking for argument's sake,
Hmm.
probably go to a department that deals with security or maybe accounts. So pick a critical department that you know where
Hmm.
you'll have a big impact on
Hmm.
if you implement correctly. So we move to the next O. So we're at SOO now, right? What you
Hmm.
need to do is have multiple options when you start to make your pitch. So do
Okay.
your research and ensure you basically, what I'd like to say, come up with a system that is the Rolls Royce, come up with a system that's a BMW, and a system that's probably a Honda or a Kia.
I
So
love that.
so you have the one that you're shooting for the moon, which is the Rolls Royce, which is going
Mm-hmm.
to be the most expensive system. The
Mm-hmm.
BMW has most of the features of the Rolls Royce, but it's probably not so luxurious, but the price is a little bit more palatable. And then
Mm-hmm.
now you can always look at a Honda or a Kia, and not anybody would drive a Honda or a Kia, but you can look at that. That's compact. It has some features. It's nice. It can get
Mm-hmm.
the job done, but it's not as fancy as the others, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now keep in mind the Honda while I move to some next points, right?
All right.
Here's how the Honda becomes very important. The next step, which is a P, is that you need to pilot, right? Now,
Excuse me.
what
Mm-hmm.
most companies do when they're trying to get you to buy into their learning management system, they'll
Mm-hmm.
often offer you a pilot for free. You need to leverage that pilot, right?
Okay.
So back to the Honda conversation, what you can do is you can pilot the Honda, put the user in the Honda, right? But
Mm-hmm.
here's how you upsell now. The user is going to drive the Honda and then they realize there are some features that are not in the Honda. And they can say, oh, but there's a BMW out there
Right.
that has the extra features that you're looking for,
Mm-hmm.
but it comes at an extra cost. And then now
Mm-hmm.
you start to upsell. And then when you get to the BMW now, they'll love it and they realize that there are some features that the BMW may not have. And then you end up getting the roles and you're in a different place. So
Right.
so when you pilot, always ask for the pilot for free, right?
Okay.
If if companies don't allow you to pilot for free, they'll often charge you probably like a small setup fee, and then that's a little bit more palatable to your executives because you're not
Mm-hmm.
going down the road of doing a full investment in a system. What you're doing, you're just testing. Like we just
Mm-hmm.
make it on the road and you see someone selling Guinea, you basically tasting and buying, right?
Right. Yes, I'll
Now,
buy. Mm-hmm.
what you want to do in that pilot is to ensure that you address one or two operational issues because you actually want to show them that the system can actually work, it can actually
Mm-hmm.
fix issues within your system, with your company, right?
Organization. Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then what you want to do now, you see, while you're going through that pilot, you need to report back to your, what's the first S again?
Your sponsor.
The sponsor,
Sponsor.
yes. You need to report back to your sponsor to
Mm-hmm.
ensure that they're also sharing the wins you have in your pilot with the executive team so they actually see that it's working. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the feedback coming from you to the executives may fall on deaf ears, right? But you see, if it comes from someone they trust, they're more likely to buy into the process. So
Got
ensure you
you.
share. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for the pilot, what's very important, what's critical, is to ensure that you include persons who are high achievers, right? In the
Okay.
pilot. So think of persons who are your high influencers in your operation, persons
Mm-hmm.
who individuals look up to, and they'll say, okay, if Christine is championing this initiative, it must make sense. It must make something, it's going to make a difference for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then no, it's when you get those high achievers, those influencers, let's use the language of today, influencers, what you want to do is ensure that you have three groups. You need to target three groups.
Okay.
So when you,
Three groups of influencers.
no, I'm going to explain the three groups now. So you
Okay,
need
okay,
the
okay.
influencers, but you need three additional groups. Here are the three
Okay.
groups you need. You need drivers, going back to the car reference now.
Mm-hmm.
You need drivers, you need passengers, and you're going to need some prisoners that are in the trunk,
Prisoners.
that are in the trunk of the car. Let me explain.
Truck.
Yeah, let me explain. So your drivers are going to be the influencers from the first group of persons
Mm-hmm.
to drive the initiative for you on the ground to get people interested, right?
Okay.
Your passengers are going to be the persons who, yes, um, management is rolling out this thing, so it's whatever. I'm just there for the ride. Wherever they go, I'm just going to go. It's
Mm-hmm.
either here or there to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
The challenge you'll have is with the persons in the trunk, the prisoners, right? They're the ones who are going to derail you, right?
Oh Lord.
So a part of the conversation is to convert those persons in the trunk to passengers or even drivers. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And this is all during the pilot phase.
This is all during the pilot phase.
All
Yeah,
right. So
yeah.
how you convince the people that were locked up in their trunk for step
Well,
out?
it can be tricky. You need to show them exactly how the system is going to impact them, and also how it's going to make them better at their jobs,
Mm-hmm.
and also you have to sometimes use not the cat, the carrot and stick method,
Mental.
where you
Okay.
show them exactly how is it, what's in it for me, basically, what's in it for me. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
show them exactly how it's going to benefit. Either it's going to lead to a promotion, they're going to get an increase in pay, or simply just going to get upskilled and you're going to become the best version of yourself in the job. You have to
Mm-hmm.
show them and you basically convert them to passenger. And then
Mm-hmm.
something we've realized is that those prisoners in the trunk often can be converted to drivers. And so if you convert them to drivers, they can become some of your biggest champions. They're difficult, but if you convert them, they
Mm-hmm.
basically drive the process for you and basically make it a success. Yeah,
Interesting, interesting,
yeah,
interesting. Before you move on, Andrea, I want to ask the audience if they have any questions because you've shared some really insightful stuff so far. We've gone through SOOP. The
yes,
audience, do you have any questions about this approach to getting the buy-in for a learning management system? I know the comments take a little bit of time to come through on this platform, so just giving you a minute. Um, to tell us if you have any questions or have you ever used a learning management system in your own organization to get training done and what was your experience like? Let us know in the comments. And I'd love to hear somebody's feedback before we move on. So we're just going to give everybody a minute to send us some feedback. And so far, I'm seeing some people sending some comments over the course of this conversation. So there's Darren Campbell. He had a little emoji with good vibes and stuff. Yeah, man, it's only good vibes around here. And Andre Cleghorn saying 100. Yeah, man. And Jodian Brian says interesting. I love that. I love that. Love that, guys. So, anybody has any questions, any comments, any concerns? Feel free to ask away. And Andre, have you found so far that using a learning management system has been a great experience for you?
it comes with its challenges.
Ah, okay.
Like I would have mentioned earlier, you need
Mm-hmm.
buy-in from the persons on the ground who
Mm-hmm.
actually use the system. What we have, well, what I've found is that um, in our region,
Mm-hmm.
online learning, e-learning it's emerging. It's
Yes,
not
it
like
is.
in the US and Europe where it's been implemented and overdone, overused for many years.
Mm-hmm.
So what you
Mm-hmm.
find is that when you try to implement certain systems here, it can be like pulling teeth. I'm going to be honest. So which is why you have to do your groundwork and ensure that you get buy-in from the initial stage so you don't actually, for want of a better phrase or word, waste your
Mm-hmm.
money or waste your investment. Because
Right.
if you don't have completions, it means that your system is not being utilized. And if you can't
Right.
show what the completions lead to overall in terms of the impact on the business, it means that there's no ROI. Yeah. So yeah. It's
And
good.
mm-hmm. Go
It's
ahead.
good. It's good, but it has its challenges. But and there's more good than challenges based on what I've experienced so far.
So, okay, and the biggest challenges usually come from those people that you described before, who are the prisoners, who are the ones who give the most trouble in these training programs.
Correct. Correct.
Got you, got you, got you. All right. Well, I'm not seeing anybody asking any questions. So let's move on to the next part of this phase. We finished the pilot phase, by the way, or were there
Yes,
more things?
we're finished with one of the P's. So I have one more
With
P
one.
and an R. So
Okay.
so the next P is create partnerships with departments.
All
So
right.
what you need to do is bring certain use cases from those partners. So what you want to do is identify some certain departments that you
Mm-hmm.
know will be utilizing the system heavily, and you
Mm-hmm.
use them now as your partners to show the executives, the persons who pay the bill, that I have here 1,500 team members or employees who are ready and want this the system to be implemented because it's going to impact how they train in their department, that sort of thing. Um, what you also want to do is ensure that when you bring that case, that
Mm-hmm.
department to the executives or to your sponsor, you also bring along the leader for that department. Don't go there
Okay.
and basically toot your own horn. Let them
Mm-hmm.
speak for you and basically articulate what the need is for that particular department, and also how they intend to partner with you to implement the system so that
Mm-hmm.
it has a great or a positive effect on their department. And also,
Mm-hmm.
what you want to do is very important, partner with departments which are gatekeepers. Now,
Okay.
everybody who works in certain companies or business in general knows one of the best persons to partner with is the IT department. Because in
Yes.
LMS, right? The IT department is one of the biggest gatekeepers. They probably have the biggest key to getting access to certain things. And what,
Mm-hmm.
what we've come to understand is that if IT doesn't, if you don't have the buy-in at IT with your
Mm-hmm.
system, it
Mm-hmm.
probably won't get past at the executive level. Because first, IT is going to talk about security concerns, um, are they certified with XYZ? What companies do they have? All what
Mm-hmm.
companies have they supported? That sort
Right.
of thing. So you see, if you get the buy-in at IT, in my
Mm-hmm.
estimation, you're almost 80% of the way to getting approval and that budget from those executives. So IT should be one of your key partners whenever you go to make your pitch. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Got it. And then we move to the R now, right?
Mhm.
All
So
right. What's
the
next?
R, and
Mm-hmm.
the R is a very obvious R for me. It's ROI.
Okay. I figured
So
that's what you're gonna say. Yeah.
yeah. So well, on average, a LMS can run you based on the size of your organization. And I'm just
Mm-hmm.
pulling a figure out of the air now. For a company that's probably running 5,000 employees, it can cost upwards of over 300,000 US for a proper system per
Wow.
annum. Yeah.
Wow.
So what you will realize is that if you want to get that budget, you need to ensure that you're going to show how, if I invest my 300,000 US dollars or my 200,000 US dollars in the system, how is it
Mm-hmm.
going to impact my bottom line when it comes to end of the year, end of the financial year? And I need to report back to my board members or whoever that Christine convinced me to spend 1 million US on the system, but when you look at my sales, when you look at the customer ratings, I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually doing worse.
Oh
And
Lord.
I've spent all of this money. So what you
Mm-hmm.
want to do is ensure that you actually present a case which will
Mm-hmm.
actually show them what the ROI will be, and what's important also is to tell them you have to be realistic. You have to give them a realistic timeline when you expect to see this ROI, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how what you want
Mm-hmm.
to do to show this is bring in the SMEs for support, the subject matter experts, right?
Okay.
So you can link with your finance department.
Mm-hmm.
So let's for argument's sake, you are going to focus on a department which is sales or marketing.
Mm-hmm.
API would be probably getting a profit of X amount, marketing probably reaching X amount of customers, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Partner with them to show what the ROI is going to be, and also allow them to come up with a dollar figure. So when so you can tell the executives, okay, if you invest $1 million in this product, I can guarantee you, based on what the SMEs are saying, I will be able to move sales up to 2 million, 3 million over a 2 year, a 1 year, a 6 month period.
Okay.
Executives love figures, right?
Yes, I do.
So if you show them exactly how you're going to increase, make them money, they'll be
Mm-hmm.
they'll be more than interested to invest in your product, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
ensure that ROI it's linked to something that's tangible or quantifiable, right? So
Okay.
a tangible and a quantifiable company objective, right? So like I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned earlier, ensure that it's either going to increase sales, better service rating, and ensure you get a realistic timeline when you do your presentation. So ROI, very important. Yeah.
And when you mentioned timeline a while ago, what is the best possible? I guess depends on the situation, but what is the best possible timeline to use or realistic timelines to use for this type of thing?
Uh, s- a good rule of thumb would be 6 months to a year. 6 months
Okay.
to a year. Yeah.
Okay. 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 All
Well,
right. So go ahead, Andre.
no, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm finished. Yeah.
I was going to summarize what you were saying a while ago. So, to get the buy-in from the C-suite for a learning management system, we're following the process that you call Super. So, like you said, Super Wednesday. So
Mm-hmm.
it's SOOPPR,
Correct.
and the S is for sponsor. The
Correct.
first O is for objectives.
Mm-hmm.
And second O is for what again?
Options. So make sure you have
Options.
your Rolls Royce, your BMW, and your
Mm-hmm.
Honda or Kia option set up.
Cool. And then the next one is pilots. Then the
Yes.
next one is what's the other P again?
Partnerships,
Partnerships. And then the
especially with
R,
IT.
especially with IT, who are the ones with the biggest keys. And
Yes.
then the R is ROI.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, audience, do you have any questions for Andrea about this super methodology for getting buy-in from C-suite execs or from the bigger leaders, the bigger heads in the organization for a learning management system? Any questions? Anything that you'd like to ask? And while I'm waiting for the questions to pull in or the comments, I'm going to also explain or share with you that One on One offers a learning management system that has a library of 30,000 courses, over 30,000 courses actually. And we also allow you to upload your own courses to our learning management system. We also have a course creation team that can actually create courses for you. So we have everything that you would need for the online training experience for your employees. So if you're ever interested in getting a learning management system for your company, you can always book a demo with us. Send us a DM and we'll reach out to you, or you can visit our website at www.oneononelms.com. So I'm not seeing any questions pulling in. I'm not seeing any comments. So I'm assuming that everybody is good. Everybody understands what a learning management system is and how it's used, why it's important, and how to get the buy-in for one. So Andre, do you have any closing words, closing tips that you'd want to leave with the audience?
No, I'll say just have a super Wednesday. That's all.
I love that. All right, so everybody, Andre wants you to have a super Wednesday. So remember that acronym SOOPR. And if you have any questions for Andre afterwards, feel free to reach out to us and we will pass the questions along to him and get feedback. So thank you so much for being here, Andre. I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us. And audience, I thank you for being here as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christine. It was my pleasure.
All right. Bye, everybody. Me.